While people are looking for things that kind of scare me or make me nervous or insecure, and I'm spiritually like kind of already grown, matured, and conquered in a lot of ways. That the base level things still bother me. Of course, I still have human emotions, but not to an extent where I find too many breaking limits into a new boundary, a new territory of who I am or what I think or what I consider blessing in life. And in all of my positions and different etiquettes and things that conspire me to be a better person, which is weird shit that I have to say around those types. But by the end of it, I started to realize with all the stuff in the world, like, I only know good things about even bad things. But even in the way that I kind of evolved from bad things, I have some sad regrets and some fears about even talking about it. But like, I only know how to heal like a brute and a military person. So I don't really know the aspects of just healing people or anything miracle and shit. And like, behind all of the drab and the mass and the what society requires of a certain type of human being, that sometimes people spiritually need me for something, and I don't even know how to process my response wouldn't be facetable for the world to actually understand, other than the fact that even by normal modern day matters, I would need different types of help, and I don't know what kind of thing. So the only way sometimes is to talk about it in a juvenile way or whatever. But if I dib and dabble in between all this, where luck and life and the things that they want from me become so unfortunate that I can't even think about the type of balance that they want me to have, or how much they want me to fail about something, that I lose interest in it and I go right back to something even worse and harder that I've had to triumph over or try to triumph over. And even by all old standards, and all of my stuff is out of date, that even as I try to update, and I'm not talking about like I remember this from a past life or stuff, it's just stuff that I know how to do, but it's so old that I'm like, the way the world works now is so much different. All the philosophies of the new modern day world won't allow me to cure anyone like a shaman, or to furthermore communicate like a mystic, which were the things that I was more closer to, let's say. And I wish I could describe it as a past life, but it's just the way that I kind of inherited my spiritual orientation very quickly at a young age. And then the rest of it, I spent a lot of time hiding and cloaking and working. And I'm not as like some kind of an evil scientist, which is easier these days to hide behind a fucking evil scientist than try to tell you how I'm going to heal or fix certain parts of you, or how other people's help me do those few things in a stronger, different way that I can't really grasp doing it on a industrial machine factory way, because everyone's a little bit different and they're all doing different things. Some people even have alien based diets, is the only thing I can describe it, because then I realized that some of these people's metabolic rates are more similar to exotic animals, and that I won't be able to cure them. So those are some of my failings and fears in life, is that we won't find a way to cure certain different types of people. Plagues or what's the word I was looking for, ailments and so on, and afflictions. But by the end of it, from where I'm not born from intellectually paradise, is sometimes it's difficult to talk about the fact that I'm not even really hiding behind demons, but sometimes it's easier to use demon magic than it is any other. And I admire a lot of different types of people that don't even come out and talk about all the things we can and can't do, not just in medical science, but only for the fact that I was introduced to my first steps in magic were curses. And I realized that some of my, I don't even know, it's too hard to say, but these are the things that challenge me and are more provocative to me than what they're actually talking about. And these aren't weaknesses. These are things that in the delve of my scars and wounds, there might be cures to other things. So even when I'm going through different bloodlines and trying to figure out spiritually how to cure someone. Now, I know this sounds stupid, but I take it right back to the front line, or the avant garde of what I'm actually about. And I start to realize that no one's near me and I'll always be alone in life, or I'll always be a tool for something bigger than I am, or just someone's petty, disgusting shit. And even by the end of it, it's like, become a world how do I become truth in a world full of lies or tainted life that won't ever become anything but the curse that it was, the curse that it will be, the curse that it was, and more worth than that. Why is the world so cursed? And then there's certain places where life, like, put it this way, look at the medical industry. You have titles of diseases. The common cold, most strains of the common cold don't even have a title. Think about it. There is no cure to anything. What the fuck revolution is this? What generation is this? What century is this? Sometimes I look at my life and I realize philosophically, oh my God, some of this shit is true. Some of this shit is wildly beyond the fact that if you couldn't even understand the fantasy, you'll never be able to concept the cure that I'm trying to rationally, even modestly facade modestly. Oh man, I'm not even intelligent, dog. I'm literally like a brute scrap soldier left over from other things, and I can't even summon up the rest of my own fucking integrity to deliver an answer. What the fuck does my integrity mean? What the fuck is this? And then by the end of it, like, you heal with needles. That's the way we were trained to get rid of fucking, a map, like, to other paradises. Like, what the fuck is this? And of course they'll never, whatever. It's just easier to stay away from a sicko and stay away from a pervert, because, like, you're gonna need it. You're gonna need to stay away from those two motherfuckers, because those people are sickos. But on the contemporary evil side of not being a complete flaccid, strung out, high fidelity fucking weakling or frail little bitch, I stand back and I think, wow, if I was as evil as you, I'd have so many candidates for donorship. It wouldn't even matter if I was just a little bit of a fucking evil scientist, but I'm not. And we're not talking about in the modern day concept. We're just talking about, like, cursing. It seemed like it was natural for you, to someone, to empathize to a certain degree, where reading their mind, getting their money, all this other shit that's like taboo and doesn't work these days for a reason, and kind of does and kind of doesn't. I'm not willing to go to the further extent to do those things, not even for entertainment, because it hurts too much to know that if I can void the concept of what it really means to read your mind and interpret this and get things from the fortune of your life and provide it to you in a descript answer so that you can profit, would still only make me, well, the devil's advocate, which I am nowhere near trying to do, and I'm nowhere near that type of a kid. It was more of like, I found this out because why do people suffer so innocent that I wouldn't have known what the fuck suffering is? How spoiled do I have to be? And then by the end of it, so many people that I'm fortunate that were spiritually, guiding me, pronouncing me, backing me up. And then the shame that it feels to suffer in front of them or for them for things that are wrong, because you can't really tell them, because they think you're an idiot because you would try to cure a curse, and then you almost never know what they have. And then even from being in the modern day world, in the vapid amounts of revolutions, or the other word I'm looking for doesn't belong in the filing cabinet that I'm speaking from or to, so I can't use it. But then by the end of it, it doesn't get, and that's why I get repetitive a lot and disconjointed in my speaking. But one day you'll get to hear me talk normal without limited array of things that I vocabularize or whatever. Or, but anyways, without trying to objectify people too. But there's so many things in the way of speaking to in those ways about fate that there's no way to process. So I shouldn't feel that ashamed about it. But those are more of my challenges in life than what people are actually looking to provoke me about. And it's like I've been a brute long enough that in a life where I knew I had to before, like, cause like, what are you gonna do? Like, even if you were from somebody else's fate and they were a military nurse or something, you still can't process how to get around that you need to hold a post before you can go and heal those people. Like, you know, the reserves aren't there for that. There's just so many things that you technically have to do. And sometimes I don't understand, because like, even psychically, when skin, I don't know how to describe it, articulate, skin leaps out at you and tells you the dimension of their whole facets of life, because they know that all you want is to purely help for some reason random people that you saw something in their fate by accident. The lady in the red dress, the chick with the blonde hair, like all these things that mean nothing are still like, what did you see, and why would anyone care? And even if you're supposed to use those things and you're supposed to know those things in a real way, the reason I'm putting it so modestly or so flagrantly obsolescent, I don't know the word for it, but the way I'm putting it that way is because you can go and venture off into how interesting those mistakes actually are, then focus on how annoying or tedious what I'm talking about actually is, to give you the higher meaning. And like, by the end of it, what I know about cursing is so childish, easy, normal, relatively available to me. It's almost like second nature. And sometimes I'm afraid of, like, what the fuck did I come from? What was I conceived from by accident? I'm not talking about like anything too corrupt, like, you know, this runs through human DNA. It's nothing like that. And I've never found that to be. I'm actually clear of those kind of things. But when it comes to, and I'm not talking about diseases, I'm talking about literally curses. But when it comes, or raptures, I guess, but I guess rap does have something that stems through me. But I like rap. What am I gonna do? But like, by the end, and like, poor demon likes rap. Oh well, like, oh well. There's just certain things you can't stop. Oh well, the devil likes the boogie down in Georgia. You just can't stop that. But anyway, by the end of it, it's still one of those things that, like, okay, so no. But if it's so easy to be a brute and to do these things to me, if it's so easy, why am I like so hairpin of like one of like 2 million, one or two of every few million people thinks about, or three or something, thinks about, could we like cure them? Like, yeah, we know how to, like, you know, remove some fucking stuff, but could we give them like a new one? And I'm not talking about like making scientific organs or anything like that, or stem cell research. I'm talking about, we know how to grow that shit almost naturally and organically. We know from different methods. I even want to go and talk about the Buddhists and different things, and I'd like to talk into that. But like, what the point is that people are so provocative with me about stuff. And I'm not talking about like me dude, I bring this shit up because they're literally already so provocative about socialistic basic things in life that they just want to argue and have like a social contest about things. And I'm literally a fucking spiritual, religious nerd. And then I go to a different place. Like, other nerds would be like, let's talk about bugs, or why science is this, or why voting for popularity contests is vapid. When they did that to me, I was the kind of nerd that I instantly was like, but the shaman of the belief of what apes are worth to humankind brings out that every animal has a soul. We all go to different places. So then let me get back, I guess, close to the subject. By the end of it, being bored from those things or something that left me with these kind of things, cursing is lame and passe to me, because it's almost so easy to do that, like, it's disgusting how much I don't or how much I do need to rationalize and how much people don't want me to rationalize about, like, you know, the most basic question, what did they do? And I don't even ask that because I'm not a rat either and I ain't a punk bitch. And like, then there comes my other side of it that's just like, yeah, I'm ghetto, so what? So I don't do that, like, you know, ratting shit that way. So I'm like, well, okay, I'm following all my rules, their rules and everything, but there's still no answer to, like, neither one of you on both sides that I listen to would ever really take the time to get over the hedge of fixing any of this shit. And even when it's simple as even my other masters that are formally, you know, better teachers to me or gave me more tools, would or could mock me of it and teach me or instill into me how wrong that is, even with punishment, even though I was one of the type of students, I guess, that they took very easy on and really nourished me in a really different way. And I'm not sure why, but I think it's because they realized that the black hole that this person's other progenical spirituality is coming from a really bad place that shouldn't even comprehend why they're evil, but somehow they do. So that's a good sign or something. So I didn't know what the fuck that's supposed to be. I'm not talking about like it's really a sign of evil. It's just kind of like more of a merciless world where like you need to put each other down, or you need to accept the fact that like life is shit, and then what you're dueling about is actually something more specific than why you have to talk about it, so you don't, and you just keep salvaging and salvaging. But while salvaging all that, it didn't occur to anyone to like make a miracle on this side of my heart or on the other side of my symbiotic or my being or whatever the fuck that is. Like, I got a lot of weird shit that I like don't really chew on, but I try to grasp in such a weird, like, animal way that, yes, of course I feel ashamed and sorrow for those things. But when you talk about my fat or why I drink beer or like times that I'm not perfect or weird shit like that and eat at my humanity, I almost feel so tormented to realize that within all the provocation for everything that is wrong in the world, you're attacking such basic innate human things that I'm thinking that you probably don't even want your own species to survive either. And sometimes the scary part is I don't know whether that's you, them, your conceivement of stupidity, or God himself just saying that he wanted to give up on humanity because you're so fucking disgusting at times that I'm not even sure what to do in the third person about living an arbitrary life based upon the philosophies that I'm not allowed to live by in a modern day world. The red faction that is taken to heart and soul beyond what a child should have been raised by still follows all those flagging rules to a certain point where there's nothing to talk about where I'm from, what we did, or how anyone knows or cares, but the reflection of humanity and all the graciousness that was given to me just to survive, and given like food and cereal bars, and being way too grateful. Like, they could have cursed me, they could have murdered me, they could have, and they gave me some stuff. Like, dude, I'll tell you one thing. Countries are a beautiful thing, and I won't describe it anyway because I usually speak unisom to myself, so I'll try to keep my same philosophies. But by the end of it, it's such a beautiful thing, and then like not knowing where you're really from sometimes, and even with all the confusion, I still love and care deeply for the fact that, like, even whether this feels fake, creepy, or weird, or unreal, or whatever, life is truly a big giant thing. And I'm not sure why I'm so blessed in so many ways, but some people are so crazy and provocative that I'm not sure what kind of a monster they're looking for. But even the more you make those monsters, I realize that I don't have a fucking choice but to keep trying to make more beautiful things and art and all these other stuff. So even when I have to gamble a part of my facade and soul, and I call it these things because those things will never be real in this actual world, or I'm going to have to fight and sacrifice much more than what it is to be anything. And it's weird because it's like a warcraft or a warlock. What the fuck are you talking about? A shaman, a healer, or any of these things. It's like, how the hell do you have to be so evil just to heal somebody or just to start the process of fixing them. Life is so crazy twisted in that way that I can't even believe that you would have to fight off like a million demons just to try to save someone. But the world is literally pro demon. And like, even when I'm like 25 mil for you, 25 mil for you, I give you $5 because you on my team, so we gonna be poor for a while. It's like there's never a way. And then when you review all the history in the world, they will always be the poorest, most like beaten up, shitty faction. What the fuck is the world actually made of? So I don't know. And maybe I'm leading on too much to why the fantasy isn't winning or isn't like completing this puzzle. The fantasy is that, do you remember that some of this might fix you? Do you remember that some of this actually consoles people or puts them back into their real reality? Maybe I'm not trying to stuff you in a filing cabinet, but by the end of it, the composite that I was building or building for some people is for them to heal. Some of the things that you all get or prefer to have as entertainment while other things are supposed to distract you. I don't even believe in distraction. Why should I defend myself so much for them getting a better soul or for them getting something rebuild other than what the other masters had made a point about? We don't know if they were cursed honestly or not. And in these modern day worlds, like, who the fuck would know? War is really fucking complicated. I'm not even talking about war. I'm talking about like spiritual war and like all these other stuff that you couldn't or you don't even have to take seriously. Just don't. Because in the long run, you'll understand why, like, we don't even know why. And all the other kids are other things that I was trying to fix while growing up. I realized, Jesus Christ, even when I found out that it wasn't some curses or stuff, that it was only enough for me to realize that life got lazy and let that shit happen because everybody else was busy. And then I'm like, but you won't even allow me to heal it. Why would I have to fight off so much evil? Well, they're not all demons or anything, but you know, why would I have to fight off so many different complicated architectural types, I'll say, because it's not like I want them to be robots, but they are like somewhat in a program that I can't fucking help. And like, but why the hell would you not want me to do that? And if that's the case and you're better than me at it, why don't you let me hold the other flag while like the defense is there, and then while the defense is there, you can do what you have to do. I don't know how else to talk about it in other than a military fashion, but like, you know, whatever, like, you know, let me hold that fucking flag while you do the other thing. Because like, and we're not even talking about war. We're literally talking about like the standard practice of healing, because you have to think that way, because there would be no time increment to orient yourself to the amount, the time, or what people exist by. Like, you know, these things are all difficult. And sometimes I'm getting older to a certain point where some of my kids' games are things I did in self-defense and for what the statutes of life that I couldn't make ends meet by, but you feel like you can't reach the counter to eat the table food anyway. But as a kid, that's how you feel. But now as I'm older, and I'm like, there's less excuses for me. There's also less excuses for humanity, or less excuses for all the other places that I left in fate that weren't going to be able to help the other few ration out things that I could. And because like, even if you could read fate, or if you could do worse than that and read minds, or if you have some spiritual innate thing or whatever the fuck, some of these puzzle pieces that you're supposed to give to the other person. And of course, if you're the like kind of like, you know, dumb foreign kid in some weird ways. In some weird ways I was, in some weird ways I wasn't. But if I know that when I'm being a brute, I am kind of a foreign kid, and I'm like sitting there because I'm like, well, if we have to protect, we have to protect. Or if we have to scout them up to what their real vision is to get them their answer to their other stuff, then that's what you do. You serve as a guard and you just help out. But like by the end of it, I'm like sitting here and I'm thinking, even if the answer was mine to go do and be like, well, you're the only one who's crazy enough to believe this shit and to fight for good in that way, then why not just take that puzzle piece, drop it off to the other fate, and let them go their right way? Like, if you found Thanos's green stone and you returned it to them, You know what I'm saying? You just take the time to go do that, because it's not like, okay, well, sometimes you don't get the rest of the puzzle of the mystery, but that fortune's complete. The more you do that, the more you start to realize the world does depend upon good people, because then you start realizing what I don't know is out of being like fucking bad. What I know is out of like, isn't this obvious? Like, I found an apple. It belongs to somebody on the side of the road or something. I figured out who's the apple belonged to and I gave it to them. It seems as dumb as like a dumb superhero. But the more I did that, the more I realized, no, I'm not a creep and I'm not a loser. And I realized, wow, I learned so much from all these things. And what people did tell me in some of their stories were kind of like correct, but I just took those puzzle pieces and I moved them to the other people, not out of what I thought I was going to get, because I knew ultimately, like, what am I, an idiot? Like, they all wear masks, psychologically speaking. So, like, by the end of it, I was like, well, yeah, of course. But anyways, by the end of it, like something like, a show where they pawn stuff or they go around doing antique shows, and it's like, all these puzzle pieces fit to such a magical story. And even on the surface, those are the more important, better stories about how mankind settled down. But some of the other stuff, man, all of those puzzle pieces ended up fitting. Not all of them, but some of them. But those are more of the things that I'm provoked by. And it's so difficult sometimes just to like put the other puzzle pieces there, and then you'd be afraid to even mention it or to give them the rest of their puzzle piece because it's obvious to. So you just do, and then you leave, and then you're just the weirdo, the creep, and the loser. But at least you didn't like do anything perverted, and you just got the fuck out of there, right? And that's just how that goes. But like, nobody likes a fortune teller anyways. It's always the like, what did you do to me? I didn't do anything. Your fucking soul reached out and told me all this weird ass shit, and I didn't know what the fuck to do with it. So I just fucking like put the dinner cloth there, left the bottle outside, and then fucking, made sure that there was extra napkins in the fucking table. That's what a good one does, or a good sidekick does. I didn't learn this from anybody. This is stuff that was common sense to me. It's like you grow up and that's like, maybe I was wrong, maybe I wasn't, but in my last life or whatever the fuck that is, but I know better now to just do exactly anyways, because even on the both good and bad side, it still becomes obvious that the story is playing right in front of you, and if you really know to live life, or life doesn't move at all because they're busy doing something stupid that's actually crazy to you, like living in a system where you decide how much money it's worth for you to move around your piece, instead of just doing what you can actively do. And it also like puts you in better health for a lot of fucking things when you don't work for stress or stupid bullshit. Which I'll say stress so that you understand the real life translation of how much that's worth. And even by the end of it, it's not like I wanted any of those gifts anyways. So most of those things I find to be more provocative instead of breaking down and trying to tell you, of course I'm not hurt. Of course I'm fine. Of course none of this like hurts me other than like, Jesus Christ, if there was something we could do, why are you all so evil and then expecting me to help you? After a while, like, man, nothing is worth money. That's for sure. Not a damn thing. And then even when they don't talk about the value of money, I have a very backwards feeling for that too. Like nothing is worth, like, like the things that you cherish, everything is priceless. What if it's actually true? But even in the most negative perspective, I would never help you because all of you put a fucking price on it or something. But anyways, we're not talking about just the system or anti-establishmentism or anything like that. That's something, but it's not what I'm actually talking about in that moment. What I really mean is that how conservative I actually am, that it seems like I'm living into criticizing the system just isn't formally true. Unformally, like, my beliefs are so complicated in such a rational, like, way that I can only be described, I guess, as tribal. But tribal in this world seems to mean a lot of, like, other crazy things like chaos and all these other fears that I'm like, you haven't even mastered one philosophy outside of the fact that, you like to use nudity a lot, and I don't even know what to do with you. You're just kind of stuck as like some kind of a monkey. And I have to translate it that way because I can't even give that to anyone else to understand that. Even other people in the other professional world would only understand that to be so primitive that I can just be like, well, all I can do is call you a monkey. I can't even use the word primitive, like I'm just living my life. But like where all of my innate being comes from isn't in support of how fucking stupid you are. But to provoke me Do you get a little bit how silly you might seem to someone who's quiet like me in that way? In the way where I just don't comment immaturely on anything. Like even when I'm being mature, and I know how to be really immature, but in a very like, professionally like popcore, rapper dapper way, sure. But like even at worst, that's at worst. Like, I got a style about things. But then when it comes back to like my real crazy, like deep feelings that you could potentially feel that route about me being crazy or some weird shit, then yeah, like, then where's your cure coming from? Because it's like, remember, we have cures and we have curses. We have curses and we have cures. Did you ever notice the rest of humanity only has diseases? Ask yourself a question. What the fuck does the world actually look like to you? Do you think we are paying for your life? You ever notice the giant angles and philosophies that are actually against you in the blue world? Go look at it. And you think, oh, doctors, all these things are respectable. I heard some people talking all this good shit about how they love and respect them. And even when I'm not on the side of anyone else, and I'm like, they were beating the shit out of this chick about her own nudity, which is the only philosophy that they seem to fucking master all the fucking time. And we're not talking about women. We're talking about like them on the other side of wanting to pay people to drop their fucking pants. It's not like it was her idea to get an easier life with money. So anyway, like go look at the pressure on women, and then you think that they came up with like, I could pull my pants down and make $15. When's the last time you as a man came up with that fucking idea? No one gave you that idea? Never just randomly felt that way or nothing? Because I never did either. So then, women, that's like a commonplace thing to reject. What if your whole entire life you had to reject something like that, and then one day you just were taking a piss and were just like, man, I need $15. Now they sell jarred piss because they don't want to complete you. It makes some sense to me. I don't know. Whatever. I don't know. It just makes some sense. Anyways, there's a lot of things that people are fighting. But then you can add up like, do it yourself or like, work your ass off, I worked so hard for this and that. This is the name of your disease. This is why Medicare only covers up this much of what you've earned. And even in some weird way, when you've done it to yourselves, it's still kind of like, well, duh, aren't you supposed to still come up with a cure? Because in my world, like, you're supposed to figure out, like, well, if that's not gangrene, then what's eating me? Or if that's not this other thing, what's that chewing on all of us? Like, so even on both sides of the purity or whatever that we're supposed to fucking do with these here lives and shit, I don't know what the fuck it is that got you thinking that, like, if you can buy your way out of that, which we hope you can, like sometimes I just sit there and of course I naturally hope you can, but then by the end of it, if you don't realize that maybe the other answer that I have is so fucking wrong that it's right for you and nobody wants to be coddled or raised or treated like an actual child of something else, just don't ask. Because like even when you find out about other prodigious kids or prodigal kids, you realize they were raised really horribly. And even though I wasn't and don't consider it or myself that way, the only people that's ever responded to me in faith were so high up in architecture that I couldn't even like explain to you what it felt like to be like, holy shit, here's my puzzle piece. And then they took it and they did what they did with it. Or they knew already where I should put it and told me where to put it. And it was like, wow, how am I suddenly in some guy's apothecary area or in his botany or potion area? And I forget the other words at the moment, and I could say them, but I already said those normal basic words better. So like, I'll leave it in layman's terms every once in a while, or layman's terms or whatever the fuck. But anyway, it's just not that fucking important that I should correct myself unless we were actually doing something extra. But there's not much to know about those things anyways. Like those are old pseudosciences for what it's worth now, and I prefer those just because I prefer those. And it's also to me closer to a lot of different answers, because resilience and constitution only last so long, where even my lifeline has been judged down to what you're paying for, because who the fuck would work otherwise? Get it? Like, even if Thanos was selling rocks, like, I'd still have to go buy some rock just because I'm ghetto. That's right. That's how I'm going to avoid you too. But then by the right, but by the end of it, it's still one of them things. And this isn't me just like living up to some bullshit. Sometimes I break down and I admit this is how I know to cure. This is what this is, but you have to go to the mountain of, for joke for right now, the Valhalla, to go pick you up some golden brown herb, because on our side we only know how to heal that way. And it's like then they have to punish your soul until it goes through the other dimension to pick up the actual antidote that we only know how to make there, because they can't transfer through a normal bloodline. There's a lot of weird shit about this. And then that's just how dumb I have to be to do my fucking job. That's how dumb I have to be to do my fucking job. So they prefer that I don't. But either way, like, I wish best for you. So I say, well, why not Mountain Valhalla or whatever the fuck, that you can attain these other herbs. But that's not really the joke that I'm getting at. And that's not really the full fucked up thing that I'm telling you about. Why wouldn't it just feel like a hustle? Because everyone else wants you to get up to a disease, not a cure, because the cures don't exist, because all of it would have been, why were you cursed? So even when the world got lazy and didn't give a shit, can you see how modest it must be? No, not sinking in there for you. All right, well, just don't ask, don't tell, don't get curious about me. And also don't worry about how much of a mystic the person actually is, because I'm not trying to make anything mysterious. I'm not even trying to sell you anything. I'm not trying to get you anywhere but to the possibility of the plain surface of realizing only a little bit enough to realize that you're not crazy. And I'm not crazy. And the people taking advantage of it are like, well, pain is next to cleanliness. And guess what? That's a Brute's healing technique. And those are things that I was trained to supposed to know, like innately, and they improved on it for me. But I'll still tell you, I know that it's wrong, and I know why it's wrong. And the whole entire time I knew it was wrong. And even though it is currently some of the best healing techniques in most things, and like, when your masters teach you stuff like just knock the demons off and become more violent. What the fuck? And that's literally how the world is raised to even be a shaman healer. And I knew I was being taught by, the wrong different people, but they were said to be better, and they're kind of right. But Jesus Christ, to realize that, like, just knock the demons off is a better statement than just knock all of that shit off of them, or like try to incinerate them with the purity of your heart or some shit. Because I can't even explain why I'm like, well, no, I'm not good at like just trying to burn their fucking life off. You know what I mean? Like, there's some stuff to this that's like, yeah, I'm joking. There's some stuff that's like, I'd almost be, it would be easier to tell you that, like, they used to think that burning the leeches off work after they use them because it's pure or something. It's just easier to almost describe medical science and where it did come from, justly but unconfoundedly. It's like the gears are rolling but nothing's happened, or it's like nothing's happening and the gears are rolling, or they're not rolling and shit is just happening on the outside of it. Like, how crazy is that the gears are rolling, but there's nothing actually happening? They're still stuck in the last revolution where no one will admit that the revelation might have been that you're a fuck up and I don't care anymore, and go ahead and sell yourselves to what you really think you are. Because, like, if you actually look back on this shit, what is this? Why do they go through so much? And even when other human beings have to just break down and admit this is some bullshit, to know that the leaders might have actually gave up on how stupid society or you people are or life is, and just decided to let them go and decide their own punishment. Some people did better, some people did worse, but to know that humanity had to let itself get away with its own free will by doing that and calling it free will was kind of like, holy shit. Like, that's why all of you only know how to get over on other people, because you probably seen a non-miracle and it bothered you. Well, I don't know, but anyways, it's not like I'm trying to make you religious or get us religious. I'm just trying to explain to you, I don't have any answers to that. And if you wanted me to feel provoked or scared, I'm telling you right now, I don't have any answers to that philosophically. with the world this way, if I try to explain this to you, I feel more comfortable describing myself as a psychopath or explaining it behind the puppet of a fucking demon mask and trying to explain it to you how you might be an Asian Pinocchio. You do not understand me sometimes, that I'm not even mocking you right now. I am reminding you that I am not the one puppeting you, but the ideologically that I tried to give you is still an answer that would have to be puppeted. That's how crazy your dog kennel ass is. I can't even give you food. I can't even nourish you. Well, then I guess the rules of Geneva. I guess like, well, fuck it, like, you know, like, here's your food and water. I'm the fuck out of here. Well, it's not like I let them starve to death or anything, you know, or it gets to the point where they were right to because they knew everyone else was worse. Like, there's just nothing that I can fucking do about that. And then when it comes to spiritual saving, of course, we're never going to be on the right side for that. The only thing I can do is get you to the exact part where fate left a puzzle piece, and then once I can go back and pick up the other puzzle piece and return it to you, I still have to go and fulfill all these other things before I realize this shit comes in random, because not many people have enough belief left over to summon up the courage to give me a puzzle piece to give to you, or that fate just randomly bleeds this shit when it knows that it has no value, and then those values are things that I have to just drop off when nobody knows that we're literally digging through everyone else's treasure and finding, like, you know, fucking trumpets and all of other different types of shit. And like, by the end of it, I'm like, oh my god, like, I see what this trumpet is telling me, and like, the brass was made here, and like, why are you so obsessed with the Mayans? I don't know, they're our next door neighbor. Why the fuck wouldn't I be obsessed with the Mayans? Or like, but you know, or whatever the fuck. And like, you know what, this is not like it was Mayan brass or anything like that, but it was just kind of like, I better go check on the Mayans, right? You know, like, what the fuck, who knows, who cares? But these are more of the things that I'm afraid of, like, you know, whatever. But even in the end, when they're teaching you, like, it's okay to be wrong, because sometimes they needed the answer on someone else so that they'll actually go find it. So it's like the closest person that would be able to understand why I thought brass was so important was Mayan. So it was shorthand for, like, the confusing jumble that's coming through is just giving you exact coordinates instead of, like, telling you why his interest in Mayans is so stupid and unbelievable that you left the whole room, or you destroyed the whole art because it kept talking to you in a way that seemed human. You just didn't like that or something, or whatever, or that it was so basic as the internet that, like, when you type in all those prompts, it doesn't matter which fucking satellite it came from. It was just the information that was related to your search query. You know, some basic things that just don't seem like a fucking machine. So I don't know, like, I don't know what to fucking tell you. And even if he likes the Mayans, it's likely that he's going to get more information to drop off product there. No, none of this confrontation or provocation makes any sense. That's because it doesn't belong to me and you. It doesn't even belong to the Mayans. Like, you're confronting the world about something that it's doing when it's literally like, we're working on a different cure, not like why you're so obsessed with taking advantage of everything else. Or something, or at least passing on the life essence of something else that's like, ooh, they'll find this trumpet over here, and then when they reply back, maybe we'll get a different answer from the Cubans or something. I don't know. Like, this isn't even about like gangster shit. This is about, like, you know, what a small demon could do if he was fully one, which I'm not. It's just like the closest thing that's ever been incarnatable near me in other places and stuff. So I don't know, whatever. And it's not like, you know, they only ask me to do crazy bad things, so I always end up next to that guy's filing cabinet. Well, not specifically or anything, or even Satan, when, like, all you want to do is sell me leather upholstery too. Oh well. Anyways, back to European motor vehicles. But by the end of it, like, I know that all this makes no sense, and it makes some kind of confrontational sense. I'm not even mocking you. I'm not even protagonizing you. I'm not doing a provocative shit. I'm literally just telling you the fact that, like, even when everyone else knows how guilty everyone feels for being so elitist or doing these type of things, that the answers that I come up with that are so measly mockable and do make me feel a little bit insecure, I still know I have to go with my innate feeling and just go do something. Like, if you don't like religious kooky people that are actually so straight edge that you can't criticize them, I actually love those people, and I don't even fucking mind them. They don't even bother me whatsoever. And even I sit through their whole lectures and all those things, and then when they're done, even when they feel crazy, I just compliment them and I leave, because I know already they did more for the world and me than any most board offices or any, like, a lot of, like, consumer-based modistical trash has ever done for me while I'm sitting there fighting a invisible spiritual war. And it's not even against demons. It's just one of them things where, like, their card comes up, unfortunately, a lot, and it's just like, why is the black cat behind them, and why do you keep wanting me to stand behind the black cat in them? And I know I'm from the black cat, but I don't know what the fuck I'm supposed to do with that fucking thing either. And I'm not a bad luck spreader either, and I very much know how to curse, and I very much know how to send bad curses, but, you know, that's not what I'm made of, and I definitely want to do it from rock, because I saw the opportunity of, like, Jesus Christ, I know all that already anyway, and that's just, like, commonplace to me, but I don't know who did anything wrong, and I'm still learning the world is innocent. And then by the end of it, I look at the other side of things, I'm like, hey, wait, all those other things I could cure, but, like, you know, even the other masters are, like, recommending that I don't, because it's not, or even try, and most people just want to mock you anyways for trying. But beyond that point, it's because they could have probably been cursed from last century to, or it's sad if you talk too much, because then they lose the actual research on, are you joking with this? Does this really mean anything? Do you actually have a heart and soul? Are you empty of it? Like, you know, are you soulless because there's something else making you condescent or some shit? You know, like a lot of things. But of course, my response to that was all normal, because I already know that my choice is very slim to none. Is this kind of, like, nice that we can heal people? But then it's like all the actual responses is like terrible shit, and then the other way that they try to teach me to heal is not what I was thinking at all. But I had to listen to them, because it's like a two-way street to, like, you wanted to know if I was full of shit, but I also wanted to know if you were. But then when you tell me all the other things, it's kind of like, oh my god, you're trapped in a system where we're not allowed to do this because, well, I can only blame that you and us are supposed to have a God for these things. And even though I kind of believe that, and I want to believe that, because it's such a beautiful dream to know that, like, your master may have wanted us to all have a really beautiful life. And then even if I was on team fuck up, I would still have to admit something different to try to repair it, or not insult or piss them off at all. Because it's like, you know, an apology would be a formality that you should die for acknowledging it. And I'm like, well, holy shit, then I better keep my fucking mouth shut. But also, right, but I was obedient in those ways, because these people were not bad people. So thinking innately as a child, of course, like, there's no way to articulate that as, well, the way I articulated it as a child was very, very basic and tribal. So I'm very sorry to redecorate that for you, but I just realized that I did kind of reiterate that incorrectly. But it was so basic that I didn't want to offend you, because you might think that, like, the choice was at a parallel of deciding whether I was going to go with continue the curse for what humanity is, or to stop and imply that, like, sure, like, what would be better than to work for a different master that believes that the promised world, or that or, well, not the promised world, but the actuality can become real. Because there was no word for it. It was just kind of like, yes, it might be spaceships, but we knew it was not spaceships that they were talking about. We just knew that there was a better world out there. So now, even though the philosophy sounds so you see how basic that sounds, but then you realize in the real term worlds of the translation of an adult, it's like, oh, you mean spaceships and technology will provide it? Yeah, right. You mean that, like, oh, people know how to treat each other better, or the world was really going to be a paradise, not a parasite. Well, anyways, those are a lot of things I feel ashamed and provocative about. And even when it's not all my fault and I'm not looking to even blame the world, it's just one of them things where, like, Jesus Christ, why so provocative on me when, like, maybe the only thing I didn't offer you was a response? Wouldn't you want to call it kookery, hypocrisy, or something else, or like a demon, or demonize it, or plague it, a domesticism, an affliction, abomination? Like, wouldn't you want to put us in some different filing cabinets for nothing? Then, you know, by the end of it, it was a pretty twisted story, and I know that, well, I don't expect anything from it. I just wanted to let you know that, like, when you try to provoke me, you are so senselessly dealing with what you would have to call a psychopath to live with yourself. So by the end of it, even though these aren't, you know, collars and chains for release, these are all places that when you end up in different filing cabinets, don't wish so much that you're with me. Because sometimes I just put you in there for safekeeping until I figure out that you're not someone else's little keepsake, or while the whole world is so fucking awesome that I don't really give a shit about any of you. I put you in there because they're all supposed to wear the same mask. Well, whatever. I don't know. I don't know you. But how would you feel about that kind of innocence? So I just chuck them away into each filing cabinet, and I don't really think about it that much. So don't put so much severance package on yourself about why you wanted me to, like, start our modest fight into your early retirements. Why would I declare that if I didn't really fucking care about it? Like, I'm not looking for anything. But by the end of it, I deliver what I deliver, and I am a little bit of a weirdo, but, all the other sickos that I'm fighting off, why are you so concerned to be their friend against me? Or why so provocative about what I'm actually thinking? Because sometimes you hurt yourself with that, because I was actually thinking about curing a lot of things, and sometimes you're just so dumb as to be in the fucking way. Like, put it this way, STDs were cured more often and more and sooner than other things just because of the fact. What if I noticed that and then you're just sitting here kind of harassing me? Or there's just a bunch of other things that are plaguing mankind and other shit, and you're just trying to provoke me into an argument about something that I really sincerely don't owe you, or trying to get at me about some stuff that I don't have for them, like empathy or concern. And I'm not even hard on them. I'm not the one that started this stuff. They were just simply so curious that this other person would not fucking respond to them and didn't want to and doesn't believe in your bullshit. Why I seem intelligent? I don't even think so. Sometimes it's just like I'm the only guy that's like weird enough to do some small chores that seem really weird and unimportant, so I just do. And I think it's just my good boy foreign boy nature to do so. It's like, hey, you dropped your hat. Hey, you dropped your wallet. Isn't it better that way? Because I could have went farming anyways for about 4 or 5 hours and had a day's worth of food and a bunch of crap that I could have bought just to see if it was nice and new and normal. Like, just seen on TV. Like, not much, not much. And then after that, like, everything in life seems so free and magical and big and giant that I don't need much. So I see the world in a very big, novelty, bought it at the dollar store way, and I'm very happy about it. So that's not what plagues me in life, and that's not what provokes me. The weird part is, like, why wouldn't you just send the letter out if it belonged to somebody else? And I got like a letter from some Native American people by accident in a drawer that I bought, and then I went and I sent the mail to the other place that it was supposed to go to before the desk was sold off to me, and then like stuff like that. Why don't you just do that? And then the rest of the story came back. They sent me back some Native American pamphlets about where they're from, all this stuff. And I mean, I do like the Native Americans, but of course I did that kind of stuff anyway. So it was just kind of like the story just keeps continuing. Like, life is a giant novelty thing. But if you can't see straight because something's wrong with you, like, how do you think I feel about the system or life or whatever? Even though I'm not formally always arguing with or bonding with it, I'm still raised in this system. So there's a lot of ways that I don't to criticize it or talk back. But when you're trying to get a shape of how my mind works, maybe I am a red philosopher, but that's not how I dictate or jurisdict how I or orient how I actually deal with them. Even though I seem like such an aggressive person about everything else, I'm not with them. Anyone who gave me some kind of care in the world in those different angles, I'm a little bit more resistant to argue with it. I'm very resistant to arguing at all anyway. And I do have a lot of tolerance, but just being tested and provoked just to get the shape of my mind so that you can act like a pervert or get girls or try to be the better man. I don't really understand that, because I still have chores to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, if none of this scares you, then I guess you weren't thinking like me. If it does scare you, then man, why not, go further with why this provocation is really like, is any of this going to cure itself? Is this going to be better? Is all this stuff going to be out of the way? Can we really regrow limbs? Is there other prosthetics out there that don't make life so unlivable? Or I'm not talking about like hardcore in my personal way. I'm talking about like in life, is there a bunch of other things to do? Is this exercise? Is this actually clearing up your soul? What is this doing to your kidneys? Are your eyes going to function like that forever? What part of it do you lose in the fraction of eyesight due to what's wrong with the dimension? Why is the environment and the economy going to add up in a certain way that'll eventually erode us out of our own life and society? What is this shit? You know what I mean? None of this means anything because it's not like fate is looking at itself. And even if it was, it's not like it's an ugly bitch that needs your love. So it's like, well, of course I'm taught not to love her. But by the end of it, do you even really realize that I am like your nicest, worst enemy? Because I don't even know why you would want me to respond to you. Because if I really told you what I was thinking, you'd be like, yeah, you're really a disgusting pervert, a creep. And I don't owe you anything. But then by the end of it, like, the Big Daddy Mac pimping, what is all this shit? None of that trash I subscribe to, and I think that you need a lot of this stuff to like clear up your junk. But like if you're just afraid of porn, or you're afraid of models, or you're afraid of all these other things, then yeah, just get me out of the way, or whatever, or you're like really insecure or some shit, or whatever the fuck. But don't try to predict where I'm from, because I'm so far where a normal person is thinking that I probably intimidate you for all the right reasons. But by the end of it, if you're not anywhere near the other like people that were able to convince me why it's not like a good thing to argue with all of you and all that, well, since I was a child, not like recently or anything, but like then why not go become a better person if you really wanted to like talk to me on some kind of a deep cellular level or whatever the fuck? Because otherwise I got nothing to say to you. Like, these are the things that actually make me nervous and insecure. It's like, will we ever get to help the world? On the next episode of hypknox, do you not believe that I told you already I'm not vegan, but that bitch is probably suffering more, so I just help them out whenever I get extra food that seems like they can eat it? On another episode of hypknox, why are you preoccupied whether I like thin girls or fat girls? Leave me the fuck alone about it. I don't even care. Lastly, if this is the leftover part of my mind that you want to describe as 5%, you can have it. Because sometimes I'm sitting here and I'm like very far away from the fact that like I cannot wait until you're done with the social club hit, because I'm just kind of sitting here chilling and minding my own business and having fun and being all right. And I hope that this loosens you up enough to get to the realization that maybe I'm not needing to be on your side. Maybe there wasn't a side. Maybe progress was progress. Maybe it was already so disgusting that there's some time to work. Maybe the world just was really like, nah, fuck it, I'm not going back to forgiveness with these people because they don't even know or admit their curse at all. And by the end of it, it just seems like kinda you're gonna have to rationalize all this as facades anyways to deal with the fact that maybe I'm not attacking you, I'm just tanking you only up to those points. So then now you see ways to get me. Now, even if I was invincible up to the point of prophetic Thanos being my only challenger with 5 to 10 stones and shit, all controlling different facets of the universe, basically what human beings know about defying dimensions and getting, the universe to do crazy shit for it, or to accept what is beyond mankind's comprehension or beyond mind, body, and soul. Sure, you have gems for that and books for that and seminars and how you memorized all that. All that's fine. But when it comes down to my actual limits, well, why the hell would I care? Because that's what I'm conceding to. If you're not going to make it better, I wouldn't care about being Superman. I wouldn't care about being Thanos. I wouldn't care about all the magic in the world. Exitro. 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 And it's like, so you're a chick, and it's not like I'm one of those dudes that's abusive towards chicks, or like I suddenly become a pig or anything. I'm not like that. But because I'm not a pig, like, why do you think you can get away with so much fucking more than anyone else? Or like I might spoil women a little bit, but not like enough that you should like concede that it's fun to annoy me. No, I drew up a lot of like very definable like limits where I'm just like, I don't want to be disturbed. It's not about whether it was a man or woman. I don't feel like talking about anything or the subject or the things that I already gave you answers to, or proof to other people, or trying to get me to re-say something I already said. I don't owe you. And I'm not talking about bad things, but like good things, like you just wanted to hear from my mouth. I'm not interested in that. I'm not going to sit there for the rest of my life and just like be an encyclopedia to some people. Either take the perception for what it is so you can think for yourself, or leave me the fuck alone. But the worst part about it is that you help out sickos and perverts, like basically try to molest me of my mind or something. Like what the fuck is the point of that? You think it's funny because they're already like treating you that way, but like you're a little girl, so why should I add to that with all the tactics that people want me to use? I'm just not like that, and so my punishment for not being like that is to be perceived as weak, even by women. Even when some women treat me like that, I'm like, God, what a piece of trash. Like, don't you realize that I'm just not a pig? So it's like, I just can't help you, or I just am not that way, or like, both of them are so fucking disgusting that you almost expect me or would prefer me to act like a pig until it really pushes your buttons enough to get you away from me? Like, what the fuck? I'm not so common and so stupid as that is my actual answer, because it's not. I'm just not like that is my answer. And you're never going to see that happen, so you feel comfortable with annoying me? What if I just put you in a twist of logic and make you feel ashamed like everybody else that has to deal with something that's so stupid, when I'm not even attacking you that hard mentally about that shit? Like, we're talking about like twist of logic about like why you should feel guilty for that if you don't notice what your impact is on the fucking world. But like, let alone to be a girl and wonder why I'm not taking advantage of you, or being a pig and being disgusting to eliminate you in my situation or to distract us. I don't know, but that's just not me. I'm not like that, and it's disgusting. And why did you ever like me in the first place? And if you find out I'm a classy kind of like occult nerd, then maybe I didn't owe you that behavior in the first place. I'm just not like that. And even the occult pigs were rooted out, or the way that they act is somewhat a little bit like rock starish, and they kept them for their own reasons, but even I don't show up to those. So not, at least not by what I figure out about it and then wander out and then go to a different party or something. It's just not my thing. I'm just not that into it. Like, naked chicks and swords doesn't thrill me that much. It's just a cultural thing, and I leave. Just like the like beer and titties, like, or whatever, or like beer patron type of bitches. Whatever, I don't know, I don't care. I don't even hate Hooters, I just don't go there very often. Like, maybe once every 2 years, maybe once every 5 to 10 years, something like that, if I feel like I have to be sporty for something else that's in the area, besides bikes. Besides what other things Hooters offers, like sports entertainment. But like, really, mostly no. But if I have to indulge on like a sport, maybe, yeah, just to go see like the fucking other news report with a bunch of waitresses that can actually like talk to men. That's what they should be for, if not anything else. But the fact that you would expect, so, and we're not talking about Hooters people, that's just off subject, that completely different subject now. Like, the fact that you would like harass me and then expect the behavior, and like I'm supposed to do that to get out of this, and then to be with you and then argue with you. What if all that would happen if I did do that is I would continue to argue with me about, now you're harassing me. It's not like one less. It's literally I left because they're not my type. Just leave me alone. One less is something else when you're like stuck with a bunch of people that are definitely different, and like all their segues were points that you had to knock down and then leave because they were all fucking crazy, or they put me at odds for no reason. But just sitting there like trying to learn how I fence these people off. Well, guess what? You still are so dense-minded as the other person that won't get it through their fucking head that I don't fight them off because I'm not in an argument with them. That's your problem, not mine. You just trying to bring me problems and you're realizing why it doesn't work or what my tactic is. Well, no, I'm not into this. That's all. And the other opinion that they were more interested in the back, no, like I was on the second burner and you started trying to change subjects to me or get me to argue with them and it didn't work. Well, why don't you realize that I'm just not that way? And what was I on the back burner for was why their curiosity suddenly becomes yours. And now you both want to harass me? The fuck do I owe you? I already gave you every best answer I can. Now, if somebody taught you a little bit on how to play chess and avoid most problems, and then you're jealous and just want to see them with problems, I don't know what to tell you, but I just gave you enough chess maneuvers to understand the people on the board and then let you go. The other people that are mad at me will be discontinued by a different fucking debate. So I'm not sure why you're trying to egg them on or keep me in it just to exploit your own curiosity or indulgence in what you think my base level intelligence is or what I bring to the table. But as I told you, with mysticism and whatnot, I would probably never owe you anything anyways. And every time I actually not translate and just talk to infinity, it still just becomes a disgusting conversation because you become so disgusted, jealous, and ashamed that it's like, well, just, why do you hate me so much? Why are you here? Why are you here? And more importantly, why am I talking here? Why are you here? I'm clearly minding my own business, and no, I don't talk to myself. So that's how deeply disgusting that shit is. And honestly, you forced me to talk to fate to avoid your plague in the world, or at least has to be noted for why, after you're done with your bullshit, the way that I clean up is none of your business, because that continues your shame. I'm not even here about that. So why I was on the back burner is none of your fucking business. And what they were cleaning up is probably none of your business, but it just seems like another fucking pervert harassing us. And the fact that, you're a chick pervert doesn't do anything for me, sweetie. Right. I'll break it down for you a little bit. Nah, sorry, I'm just not your type. And it's okay to have, your own little innate and, animal self that wants to gain its own pleasure or masturbate or whatever. I don't even know what brought them together, you together, or any of them together. I don't even know how we got there. But I'll tell you one thing, if that's all it was your masturbation, that's already something I don't criticize, so you can throw that away. But the fact that you think that from there is where you came from, that's not where you came from. You came from some other kind of a sicko place, and you're just trying to play it off that, while you're a chick, I'm here for what? Or why are you helping a pervert? So, you're dumb, and it's obvious that even if I didn't blow you out of the water, it was still kind of duh, you're basically helping a pervert, and I don't owe you a response, or a fucking sicko a response. I just don't owe them one. And why would I have to be a better man around them? So why are you egging me on as if I fear being myself, even around a fucking pervert? Or what? 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 Some fucking belching? Some fucking belching? So either way, I don't owe the fucking fake ass whores anything. It's just fucking disgusting. Now, I don't really care. You want to go get your rocks off and exploit yourself and, even though when you do it to yourself, it's not exploitation, so no one else notices why they fucking seem to want to hate. I don't know. I don't care. I was never on that side of it. The reason I even promote some of it is because I'm like, well, go get your rocks off. They should be so ashamed to get their own fucking rocks off, and then it's one less insecurity for me to have to deal with them about some bullshit. Even if you wanted to suck my master's toes, and I'm not even gay. No, okay, just get that out of your head. Look, this is a good work group. You just sucking toes or some shit. Oh no, I don't owe you. And then even when you suck my toes, I'm literally explain why you don't have to, and you just kind of working your way around to some point that I haven't given or that I don't owe. And then wanting me to be a pimp or asking me if I'm a pimp. Sometimes I can see how you could ask me that, because it's kind of oh, I better get this chick out of this, or if I don't pretend that some men don't have a way of you getting out of that or something, or some men understand you, they damn near want to butcher you or throw you in a different filing cabinet. They're all nerds, homegirl. They gonna put you in a really sick filing cabinet that I don't want to sit through. And unfortunately, I'm here because they're holding me up to a different debate. So I just didn't want that in my illumination while I was chilling. Imagine being at the bar and you don't even mind when Bill Compton or Eric fucking eats in front of you at the business meeting. But some of the other ones wanted to eat trash, and it looks like we eat trash. We don't eat trash. You get it? It's so high class that I can't even tell you that my opinion wasn't hey, yo, fuck you, low life. But I wasn't going to say that shit, and I'm not thinking that they're a low life anyway. It was the fact that, even when you wanted more than your high, it was kind of, wrong, because you're, chasing something that doesn't even belong to everyone else's mastery or what they unifiably, anonymously possess individually between each other. So you're just not compatible for that part of it. So just enjoy life. And I'm not even trying to be an elitist. It's just more of why are you asking me to put me at odds with other people and then start a war and then get out of there with what you think you got your wisdom. Do you think everyone in the room is that stupid? Because you know how many people have, since you've like wandered through this conversation, have tried to tie you up in other logic, and I literally stopped it just to keep it somewhat sane while they try to figure out their inquisition between the rest of us that could have been authorized by their curiosity. Because I didn't even want any of the curiosity. I just knew that I didn't want to deal with that, because that puts us in a different category of why they gotta argue with like lower and uglier people for no fucking reason. And I mean ugly within their fucking attitude. Like, I'm not that fucking like stuck up or anything. So either way, it's like I have to bomb this person out or remove them coercively, politely. And every time I try to do that to you, you're so trashy that you'll only accept that we're in some kind of a war and that you want the insult. It's like, you know, like spit on me, tell me I'm nothing, and then like, you know, fuck me, 250. Like, I'm not really that mad at that. I'm just kind of like, no, like, I just got like a few other things to do, and then I'll like try to have like a fun dinner with you. And then you had my type of fun. It was better than sex to me. So then I let that go, and then like it was good. Or, you know, or like, you know, like at least we got $250 worth of drugs or something. No? Okay. Then we got $75 worth of drugs, and then whatever, you do your thing. Like, you know, that's a party. But otherwise, like, that shit was so disgusting that if they all think you're trash, it's like they're going to try to throw you back in the filing cabinet that I just tried to throw away. And I'm not talking about that they're ruthless as like, you know, a fucking foreign business meeting or anything. I'm talking about like the nerds just like trashing things anyways and aren't even that into pussy. And you're in the wrong room to just be like, you know, only so civil with me as to think that they only get low-minded because it's trashy or that it's easier that way. Like, that's just the wrong approach. But by the end of it, like, I hope that didn't insult anyone, but that shit is just so disgusting to watch that I can't believe that you really think that you're going to wind it out of that room over what they thought they had the right to debate with me about. And if that was your trashy way of doing me a favor, you should have escorted me out there like we were doing something better. But like, you knew I couldn't go along with that either, because all you're doing is bringing pervert there for some other reason that I don't understand. Like, so no, just no. But by the end of it, I don't know how many chances I gave them out, and I can't give you more than like 6 or less than 10 ways. I really can't. So, you know, leave me alone about it. It's like, after all the different types of ways that I've been attacked, maybe I have less than 10 ways. So I don't know. Like, there's nothing else to say. Then I got quiet and went and reserved a different opinion, based it upon a different folder, let you wander in it, and then let you go your other way without a masked exceptional answer. So I left, and that's all. I'd have to use a period or a comma, but I didn't. It's just fucking disgusting. And it's weird too, because I'm not even a pimp, but it's like, even when I sit here and I'm like, I don't know what the fuck to do with some of these people. It's like, even when some women like that were trashy and knew I wasn't really against them, they even left me with like a thing of their real interpretation of why, and then they went straight into industry and did some fucking things and then purposely bombed out. And then I'm sitting there and I'm looking at it and I'm like, holy shit, I don't even know if I should comment on that. I think they just told me just so that somebody knows, in case anything goes for them the unspoken way, that somebody knew the real story and wasn't just a victim like I was. So like, I went through that whole thing, and I'm still sitting here like, what the hell am I supposed to do? You know what I mean? I don't even care. So, you know, I care, but I don't care. But like, if they said that they've been through some shit with that, then I believe them, and they're still in the good filing cabinet kit that they can survive. But otherwise, I don't have a lot of room for like what I think I should do about trashy girls, when I don't even see why they should have a fucking problem, when they just like being themselves and they just like aloofing to certain things or whatever the fuck. I mean, whatever, man. You know what I mean? I don't know, and I don't care. But that's really difficult for a girl to do to me, and then think that like, duh, don't you realize that like, if I acknowledge this, it's either like better for me not to and let them be worse, or like I realize that where I put them was a safe storage, so why fuck it up? Like, why mess that up for yourself and me on the backup plan that is for you to hold Crescent to the moon? Or like, if you knew that the Sun Empire is weird like that, and they're not, because you can't even blame the Sun Empire. But like, if you're gonna be under the moon, like most of the time, those are other still safe places where you can pit out and somewhat be all right, or the punishment reserves women to an ultimate femininity. I don't fucking know. But them being trashy women or totally inspired by their own womanhood to the point where they don't care about the rationalization of men could still be something. So why are you like trying to get them to objectify and disfigure you in front of me to see what I will do? Is that the extra bonus part of being a woman, besides the fucking curiosity of why they think that they're in a debate with me anyways, or why you'd love to see a pimp rape me? What the fuck did I do? And why am I in another post-traumatic situation when it's like, you know, psychologically what I don't bring to the table isn't their self-recognition for it? Like, psychologically, I might have some good mass, but like, they don't need to know that. What are they being victimized to? How do I pull them out? How the hell was I going to pull them out anyways when none of them really know where the hell I'm fighting from anyway? And like, if you found that out because we were both victims, why are you suddenly ratting on me? I don't know how some tough bitch could do that shit. Like, it just seems so fucking disgusting. And even if I know she didn't mean it, everybody has a breaking point. And even with some trashy girls that are like invincible and made of steel magnolias and all that shit, when they fucking sprout that shit and all the fucking petals fly across the room, it's not like I'm just as sad as anybody else that gave up their last spirit and their last shot. You know what I mean? So like, I'm just sitting there and I'm like, of course I have to deflect that and then negate you back into your filing cabinet, or at least towards some other regard of where your true best interest or your actual humanity is for you, for whatever you wanted. Now, even when you become free in that way of where womanhood is a sword inside of my fucking heart, through the, oh God, and then you realize, ooh, you like gun onions. I didn't even owe you anything. Could you imagine how I actually feel as a survivor of trauma, and all I'm trying to do is get you out from what I know wasn't your fault and my fault, and you break empty on me? And like, just to see what I'll do, of course I can only escort you into your non-mistake. All I have is a non-mistake to what you had done. So I escorted you to your non-mistake. But if you think that I could just sit there and erase it, manipulate it, and eat again in front of you, then you're absolutely insane. Even I wasn't taught to eat. Keep that in mind. I wasn't taught to eat. So just like, go live or whatever the fuck. And even if I did that shit surely by accident because I understood, just to save another human once or twice, maybe even 3 times. But after that, I'm most certainly guilty, and there's no other perspective than humanity to decree itself guilty by some kind of means. There is no fucking maybe. You don't like me, you don't like me. You never liked me, and I wasn't really that concerned about that because I already knew no one liked me. So just to get past that bullshit, we're all nerds here. Now, in the other forms, maybe you could get away with something like that, but in a nerd form, not likely. And even when you impersonate our nerdy girls and shit, it's not like they're so ugly that no one would notice that they definitely act different. So just don't worry about it. I'm not even judging you. I'm not even judging trashy girls. That's as far as I'm willing to understand that, like, yeah, women broke my heart, but it's not like I needed to know what I was doing to her. So I didn't proceed. What do you think that they were thinking? So I left. It's just that simple. I wouldn't know. And I don't intend to figure out. And why I don't want to know is because it just seems like stuff that they take advantage of them broads about or whatever the fuck. So I'm pretty fine with who I am and what I do. But that's as far as it goes. But like, magic doesn't even fucking work that way, and I don't even know why you intend to bring that part into it. These people are much bigger than like how much facade that I would need to do something that fucking stupid anyway. So I don't know why people always end up thinking that people are invincible, but the person knew what they were doing because you were already doing stronger than me, so you must have been trying to show me up as a trashy girl. But I don't know, I could have even used your power, but in that synonymous energy with what you think that I'm empathizing, what do you expect me to actually do? Admit that I care or we care or that it's some kind of love? Because even if you thought that kind of love for me or what we had suffered through or what we were victims for, then what the fuck do you think that this is? That's my heart and soul, that's my compassion, that I'm defined by what I was victimized about? Like, come on now, put your like head together and realize that like even I couldn't self-convow that to your last moment. Or if you thought that symbiotically, then no, you're right. I don't eat all of my symbiotes. So oh well, bitch. Oh well. Yeah, that's right. Oh well. And you too, robot master. Oh well, I don't eat my subordinates. Oh well. Oh well. I didn't even think that I was or you were. But oh well. I don't eat subordinates either. So while you're laughing at each other because neither one of you have anything in common, I don't have the choice of humanity about it. So I don't know who the fuck you think that we're regarding about this, or why only you and the other nerds would know this, or why they would only understand why you may not be bug eaters, but what you do know is so mechanical that neither one of them would ever really realize invisibly how much dedication you do have to what you are. What do you think that does to me? And even if you wanted me more than a fucking symbol, I still wouldn't even be able to declare what you are doing. Like, okay, so the animal knows you never corner any animals. You know more than an animal and you want to get cornered. Well, I see what that says to me, but why the hell would you care when they literally look at it as a mechanic? They do not care. So by the end of it, gone is gone, broken is broken, and all I saw was broken and all you knew was broken. So why are you trying to put us in that filing cabinet to make yourself feel better? Well, good luck, because even I tattooed my grave, if it was only that stupid.